Page 62. My car thing. I suppose the real reason for the training stuff isn't my bad manners, although they leave a bit to be desired. It's my car thing. I've always had a hang up about cars and trucks. Also, riding lawnmowers, go-karts, anything with four wheels, an engine, and a driver. Don't like them? Don't want to ride in them. Don't want anything to do with them. Those co-pilot dogs with their heads hanging out the window flying their drool flags? Boneheads. First of all, it ain't safe. Second of all, bad stuff can happen after you climb into a car. Take it from me. When Julia and George and Sarah realized I have transportation issues, they tried to lure me into the back seat of their cars with treats. But you'd be surprised how stubborn I can be. I yelped so loud the neighbors came running out to see what was happening to the poor little doggie. Score 1 for the poor little doggie. Click. That's when they started clicker training me. Click, here's a treat. Come closer to the car, Bob. Click, here's a treat. Watch when I open the car door, Bob. Click, here's a treat. Come right up to the seat, Bob. Click, here's a treat. Come on in, Bob. Bob, Bob, where are you, Bob? Yeah, it was a lot like that. Options. Still haven't been in a car or a truck or a tractor for that matter. When I have to go to the rhymes with a pet theater, Julia and her parents walk me there. They say elephants have long memories. So do dogs, people. It's not like I'm afraid. I'm just exercising my options. Full wag. Are you ready to head over to the park? George asked as he passes through the living room. He's carrying 2 flashlights and a roll of masking tape. Yep, Julia says, and I do a head tilt to show I'm intrigued by the conversation. The place where Ivan and Ruby lives is called Wild World Zoological Park and Sanctuary, but everybody just calls it the park. George works at the park as head groundskeeper, which means I've got some sway, and everyone who's employed there loves Julia. Give me a minute. I just need to grab my coat, says George. Straight home after that, thought Julia, says Sarah, just in case the weather gets worse. 1 minute the weatherman's saying we're going to have a little shower. Next minute it's a storm of the century. Julia scratches my head. I thought Hurricane Gus wasn't coming till tomorrow. Sometimes they change course, said Sarah. They can be unpredictable. You know, George says with a wink, in the old days they named hurricanes after women. Julia groans. That is so sexist. It's not just the wind that I'm worried about on this one, George. It's the storm surge that could be the problem. Flooding. And Julia tries to make me wear her mom's latest creation, a knitted dog sweater with security written on it, which I suppose is ironic reference to my petite size. I politely decline. All right, you win, Julia sighs. Ready for your walk, Bob? At the mention of the word walk, I go all crazy mutt, so it's clear I'm on board with the idea. Humans love it when we get silly. I think they're so weighed down by people problems that sometimes they need to be reminded what happy looks like. Julia attaches my string. I try for a little tug of war, but she refuses to buy in. Let's go see Ivan and Ruby, she says. Just hearing those names sends my tail into a full wag. Good words, bad words. I've never met a dog who didn't get a big old grin on his kisser when walk slipped into a conversation. Dogs understand more than you think. The Nature Channel says we're about as smart as the average human toddler. 2 years old. My fuzzy rump. We're a million times brainier than some babbling rugrat. There was a dog at the man's best friend show who supposedly understood like 1,000 human words. Border Collie, I think. Those guides needs to switch to decaf. The narrator was gushing about how wonderful this dog was, and I'm like, well, duh, Brainiac, of course we understand people. Not everything, mind you. And some of us are more attentive than others. Depends a lot on how interesting your humans happen to be. Certain words will really cause our ears to perk up. The classics: treat, walk, frisbee, bacon. And don't forget the swear words: vet, bath, fireworks, and vacuum cleaner. We always hear those. Clock versus moon. Julie and I wait by the front door while George says goodbye to Sarah. I think maybe the hardest thing for me about being domesticated, a pet, if you insist, is that I can't control my own schedule. If I had my own way, I'd hang out with Ivan and Ruby all day, every day. Unfortunately, humans love their clocks. Dogs, we use the sky to tell time. Like any sensible creature, sky says it's dawn, time to eat, it's noon, time to eat, it's afternoon, time to eat, it's dusk, time to eat, it's midnight, time to eat. Point is it's always time to eat. Dogs have a thing for the moon too, like wolves and coyotes and other relatives. No chandeliers for us. Moon looks like a claw. Moon looks like a pancake. Moon looks like a tennis ball. Moon looks like a claw again. A chunk of time has passed. But humans hope that's not enough. It's not a chunk, it's a month. It's not just dawn, it's 6:32 a.m. on a Thursday, and boy oh boy, we better hurry up and go to school or the office or change the baby, but who gives a woof about feeding the poor, starving, sad-eyed, grumbly, tummied dog? After a spell, I got I got used to the comings and goings of Julia and her mom and dad, but it keeps changing. Julia leaves early for school and is gone most of the day. She returns home excited and energized. Good sense, mostly. But every now and then she comes back smelling a little like me after I visit to the dog trainer, battle weary and ready to crawl under the covers. Sarah, who was pretty sick for a while, is feeling fine. Again, thank goodness, but she went back to work and she's always away all day too. And George, who has a job at Ivan's place, works 5, sometimes 6 days a week. That means it's just me and the guinea pigs a lot of the time. I have a doggy door and an outside run, but it's not the same as touring the neighborhood with your person. Peeing without a potential audience is like just talking to yourself. Sometimes I'm the teeniest bit jealous of Ivan and Ruby. They always have someone around, which is crazy, I know. I'm free and they're not, but there it is. Told you, I'm not a saint. At the shelter. I know our route to Ivan and Ruby by heart. I can't help tugging a bit, even though I'm not supposed to. It's been a couple days since I've seen my pals, and I need my friend fix, like I need air and water and belly rubs. We don't live far. Down the end of the street, around the corner. Good news source there for a few more blocks. When I walk Julia, well, okay, I suppose it looks like she's walking me, but I beg to differ. There's a place we pass that always makes me jumpy and bummed. It's the animal shelter, and I know it's a good place, a space for pets who don't have a safe home of their own. When I was abandoned on the highway, just a few weeks old, a nice cage with a soft towel in it and a bowl of fresh water, well, I would have given just about anything for that. Still, when I walk by and hear all those desperate barks and meows and squeaks, it gets me. Sometimes having great hearing is a pain. Things is, I realize I have a home and the gang is there, doesn't. And I try not to think about the stuff like that, you know? I mean, it's not like I can do anything about their tough breaks, right? And in fairness, maybe those animals aren't like me. I've always been a resilient, hardworking sort of dog. Maybe some of those guys even made their own bad luck. Don't get me wrong, I try to be a nice guy. I do what I can to make the world a better place. Sure, chat with the guinea pigs, lick the strawberry jelly off Julia's hand, do my wagon dance when the rents come home to make them feel good. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. But it's like I said before, you gotta look for the numero out for numero uno. Guess what? That's why the shelter harsh is so mellow. It's just, I'd rather not have to hear those guys every time I walk by. Makes me sad. Reminds me of the bad days.